actually vet our sponsors. We don't just take their money and run like a Butterbar lieutenant lost on the land nav course. Are you finally ready to plant your flag and claim your territory? Maybe it's time to use that VA loan to buy a home. Or hell, maybe you're looking to refinance and put some extra cash in your pocket for more questionable life decisions. Either way, the Veterans Mortgage Source, powered by Canopy Mortgage, has your six. Look, buying a home or refinancing can feel like getting overrun on a bad op. Chaotic, confusing, and full of obstacles that make no damn sense. That's where Corey and his team come in. They're like the QRF of home loans, ready to pull you out of the chaos and guide you to the best program for you. And trust me, they'll answer all your questions. Yeah, even the dumb ones. Whether you're a salty vet or fresh out of barracks still trying to figure out where your TA-50 went. Great service, solid rates, and a team that actually understands the military life. That's why all of us here at Veteran Trash Talk trust them to do right by every veteran and their family. Ready to lock it in? Give Corey a call or shoot him a text at 808-699-7874. That's 808-699-7874. Don't wait. Unless you like overpaying and getting treated like an FNG. The Veterans Mortgage Source is powered by Canopy Mortgage, LLC. All loans are subject to credit and property approval.
Hey, happy Monday, everybody out there. Hope everybody's wide awake and you guys had a great day at work with the time change there in America. We have not had the time change here in Italy yet, but we got a super great show today. I'm super excited. We have, of course, Lynn's with us, and then we have our guest today, Joshua, and he's got such an amazing story and what a credible human being, and I'm so happy and proud to have him on my show tonight. But before we jump into all that, if you missed the QR code with the introduction to the Veterans Mortgage Source powered by Canopy Mortgage, you can scan that QR code there in the lower left in case you missed it. And something I found out in the show today, that PCS to Paradise is in Hawaii. So you might want to scan that QR code and start looking for that home on Waikiki Beach in Maui. And, might check, not a bad place to go live for the retirement home or wherever. Hey, Brian, how you doing? Thanks for tuning in. But, more importantly, if the QR code in the upper top corner there is for Reads Across America, and I'm so proud to be part of them. But you can scan that QR code to make sure that your veteran is memorialized during the holiday season. They place the wreaths on the tombstones across all the veteran cemeteries all across the United States and in foreign countries. It's I'm just so proud to be a part of that. So you can scan that QR code for as little as $5 or $10. You can ensure the wreath is placed. You can also personalize the wreath. You can do a personal donation to somebody who you might have passed on, you might have lost, to remember them for remembered. So please keep that in mind. But along with that, Reads Across America Radio replays my podcast at Fridays at 8 p.m. and Sundays at 10 p.m. And it's super easy to find. Just download the iHeartRadio app, the TuneIn app, or the Odyssey app and search for Reads. For Reads Across America Radio, for not only my great podcast, mine and Lynn's, but all the great podcasts I have. I think they're up to 75 now. And so I'm really proud to be part of that. But with that, Lynn, I know you're super tired today. You had to get up super early. You had a busy weekend. But take a deep breath.
Yes.
And you got it.
Oh, my God. So, that time change, we're never really quite ready for that.
Never.
That hour, spring forward, you lose the hour. So where was I when it happened? Me and my sister were at a bar.
In New Orleans? Or were you up at the bike week?
So I went to bike week on Friday night. So after work, got the kids settled in, went to Daytona. So Daytona typically is like an hour away from Jacksonville. But since I'm closer to the beaches, it's an hour and a half for me. Oh, okay. So I just did like one night there. I hung out, shut down the strip, which was 2 a.m. And then after that hung out for another hour and then drove back home. So, I had a late night. So I probably got home like 4 a.m.
Wow.
Closer to 5. So then I had soccer all day the next day with my daughter, and then my sister came down from Georgia, and it's her birthday weekend. So we ended up going out here in Jacksonville, and the time change happened while we were out at a bar.
Oh no.
Then, yeah. So thankfully that was Saturday, right? So Sunday I got some good rest. But yeah, this morning I woke up at 3 a.m. and then I had to be at work at no, not 3 a.m. 4 a.m., which is normally 3 a.m., right?
Right.
So yeah. And then I had to be at work at 6 a.m., return to office type thing. So a little bit tired. I took a nap as soon as I got home. I was like, don't bother me, don't talk to me. I'm going straight to the room, which is funny because I have a Navy friend, Jessie, and she comes like every month to stay here. She has her doctor's appointments here. And so I saw her on the couch and her son came by and I said, hi, bye, going to my bed.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with it. You can't beat a good nap.
Yeah, and like for me, it's essential. It's not even my age. I've just always made sure that to take naps since I was in the Navy. I've been doing this. After I get off work, normally I'll take a nap or sometimes I'll be so tired after a full day's work that I take a nap in the parking lot before I drive home. It's just to make sure that I'm not driving tired because that's just as bad as drinking and
Driving
driving.
drunk. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
it's amazing that 1 hour makes such a huge difference,
oh
but
my
it
gosh.
has not only does it make you tired, it also affects your mental health. And, I'm going to post some things this week about it and just how, things that you can do to help yourself, can get back into the rhythm of things because, now it's no longer light when you get up, if you get up early in the morning, it's dark now, but it stays lighter later. And
Right.
not only does it throw off your
Yay, more
sleeping schedule,
sun.
yeah, right. But it also throws off, your eating schedule because, like for us, of course, in Italy we eat late now anyway because we're becoming more Italian. But back in the States, you'd be getting busy doing stuff. You're like, holy crap, it's almost 7 o'clock. We haven't had dinner yet because you're outside doing stuff because it's still light outside. And you kind of have to get back in the rhythm. But even of course, we in Italy won't go through the time change until March 30th. So I got a couple more weeks, and then I'll be like you guys. I'll be all tired and wore out because I'll be at the restaurant working and get home, and then I'll lose another hour of sleep, when I get home from the restaurant. But enough of that. I want to jump right into our guest because he has such an amazing story and what he's done since he's got out in the service and everything. But Joshua, first of all, I want to thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Secondly, I want to thank you for sharing your story of hope that you have, and my audience can learn more about that here in a little bit. Just like we talked before the show, I know how difficult it is and how hard it is, but how so very important it is for people to hear inspiring stories. And yours is one of the most amazing stories. And I didn't talk about it too much in the intro because I want really for you to tell your story as comfortable as you are with it. And then I do know you have a book out, so please allow the audience to know where they can find your book and where they
Okay.
can get that. But with that, Joshua, won't you introduce yourself to our audience?
Absolutely. Well, just an honor to be here with you, Lynn, and I'm just thank you so much, man, for having me on your guys' podcast today. I mean, truly, it's an honor. I was a young guy. I'm originally from Arkansas. Joined the military right before 9/11 hit, and then I got activated. And then I finished up high school, and then I switched from the AGR, Active Guard Reserve, to the
Mhm.
active duty Army, and I was artillery, and so I was FDC, Fire Direction Control. So my job. So when people ask me, "Hey, well, what did you do in the military?" I said, "You want to know my job, or want to know what I did?" Because it's two different things.
Right,
My
right,
job
right.
was computer system specialist, means in the sense I'm supposed to be in an air conditioned building. I'm supposed to be given coordinates for the guns to shoot, working in intelligence, working with all the computer systems and all that. What I physically did in Iraq is I was a gunner. In the military, they teach you, to suck it up, job on, shoot,
Hmm.
move, and communicate, adapt, and overcome. So that's exactly what I did. Is as I began to volunteer because I realized if I was going to be a sitting duck, I'm at least going to have fun, and I'm gonna basically the way I looked at it. I said, when I'm in the action, then the basic time goes by faster. So then I get to go home, and see my wife and my kid when I get
Hmm.
back. And that was really the push and the drive is that warrior ethos, and that first off, you're never alone. Second, you never quit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what I'm saying, and failure's not an option, and that you never leave a
That's
fallen
true.
comrade behind. And so, but the hardest thing, honestly, was now look as I reflect back on it, is the one thing that I lost more than anything is I lost myself. I physically came back home, and I just had something that really just touched my heart. I have a neighbor, he's a Vietnam veteran, he's a Purple Heart recipient. He was injured in the war and stuff. And just this last May, I do an event called Unity Field where I put 500 American flags in a field with hero banners. And it's on a property that we're going to be building to be a ranch and retreat for veterans, first responders, and their families. Once all the funding and once we get everything into place, but right now it's a field, it's a place of gathering. And so this gentleman, he used my track chair, which is like a robot wheelchair, and has tracks on it. And he was artillery, and so I put him in the track chair, and we made a hero banner. uh, we found a picture of him when he was younger in the service and stuff, and we had it out in the field, and it was raining, and it just got done raining. It was not raining at time, but it was still wet field. And so I told him, I said, just take that thing and go put it in the mud. I want you to go see yourself. And he went out there and he saw himself. And I told him, I just take your time, come back in the flags, whatever. And he came up to me and he's like, and I was there with his grandson, and I was there with his great grandson, and his grandson was honored to be able to take his papa out there and show him his hero banner, and because Willie was sick before, so he wasn't able to see it. Um, but Willie said something that really profounded me, and honestly, words are not enough. That's what his wife said. But this is what Willie said. He said, 50 years ago, my body came home. He said, but today, my mind came home.
Mm.
I was floored.
Yeah.
I was floored. And I realized after he said that there was a part of me, physically, yes, I came home. Mentally, I'm not the same person. That person didn't come back.
Yeah.
That person is gone.
Yeah, I think for any person who's been in combat, I myself deployed to Iraq, you're not the same person. There's no way you can be. And you know, I talk to people all the time. You know, there's nothing good about war at all. Nothing good. And no matter if you were straight in combat or if you wasn't, it changes you. I mean, because for 24/7, 365, you don't know if you're going to see the sun tomorrow or not. I mean, literally,
Yes,
you live that way for the whole time you're over there because you don't know.
exactly.
But right before we jump back into your story, you said what
Yeah,
part of
yeah.
Arkansas were you from?
Okay, so I was born in Pocahontas, and
Okay.
and so that's a more northern part of the state.
Mm-hmm.
But I lived in El Dorado, which is about 18 miles from the Louisiana border. I lived there most of my life, and then at a young teenager, I moved to a little town called Malvern, Malvern,
Mm-hmm.
Malvern, Arkansas, which is near Hot Springs, and so it's more
Okay.
centralized in the state of
Yeah.
Arkansas.
So
Yeah,
I grew up in a small town called Aurora, Missouri, which is about 30 miles from the Arkansas border. So
yeah. I know well.
I know right where you're talking about. So down by Branson is actually where Branson was very, very close to where I live. So,
Hmm.
but one thing you brought up about, trying to find yourself again or is the best version of yourself you can is really hard for veterans. And it's something that a lot of veterans struggle with. And then they turn to alcohol, they turn to drugs, they turn to other things to try to cope with that. A
Yeah,
couple of weeks ago, we had a veteran on that was homeless for many years and got his life straightened out. But it's hard and it's tough. And, if you are in that state of mind and you're lucky enough to come back from it, I mean, it's very powerful to do that because, I understand, of course, my suicide tip had nothing to do with my deployment. It had to do with me being at Pentagon 9/11. But, I get what it's like not to want to see the sun in the morning or the moon at night or
hmm,
whatever. I get that, right? You just go through the motions of life
yeah,
and any little thing can set you off. And so, with that, tell us a little bit more about, what happened to Iraq and how
absolutely.
your accident happened, because I think that's very important because to have the courage after what you went through and go out and speak and talk like you do. We talked before the show. Josh and I both
Hmm.
have TBIs. For anybody
Hmm.
who watches the podcast, from time to time I'll forget what I'm studying, or sometimes I'll stutter or whatever. But that's just part of it. But on
Mhm.
that part of him, I'm still here, and he is still here too. So please keep that in mind. And it's something that I used to be embarrassed about it, but now I'm kind of proud about it.
Yeah.
Because every day, I'm learning Italian, trying to learn Italian. It's a struggle for me, but I'm getting better at it each day. Each day I practice it, it's getting better and better. But enough
Absolutely.
with that. Enough about that, Joshua.
No, yeah.
Tell us about your deployment to Iraq and
Absolutely.
how you're able to recover back home and get to where you have your foundation now. I guess you can call it a foundation, right? Is it a
Yeah, yeah,
foundation?
it is. Yep.
Foundation.
Mhm.
And kind of go from there because I think it's such an important story of your journey.
Absolutely. Well, one thing about my foundation, Still Hope, is that that's exactly what we do. Is we show people there's hope no matter what else happens. And so
Mhm.
I think you got to understand how the military conditions us. We're conditioned to go to warfare. We're conditioned to be a machine where like we dehumanize the human body. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
That's what they teach us to do. That's the reason why there's a nickname for every era of a veteran. You know what I'm saying? Everyone has like nicknames that they gave to the enemy. And yet. And we did that because we want to dehumanize. They teach us to shoot at center mass because you don't see it's a human being. You actually see it just being a
Yes.
target. And so
Mhm.
you emotionally become unblocked. And so you got to think about it, no matter what branch you were in, no matter if you served in combat or physically just were hurt in training or anything like that. I mean, thank you first off for your service. But I also want to say thank you for the families for your silent sacrifices because our families, our dependents, they sacrifice so much, and we don't really they don't get the recognition that they deserve, and that so
Yes.
my hat's taken off for that because it's an honor. And I can tell you, my wife, she's my physical backbone, not only because my back's broken and everything, but also she's been there, man. I mean, and my kids, they have made silent sacrifices that
Mhm.
has changed my life for the good forever. um and I just want to say, on behalf of all veterans, forgive me, and forgive them for ever hurting you. I hurt the ones I love the most, and I could not see it. I was blind to it. And
Sure.
I've learned these three things, and I'll go into my story after this. But the things that you're ashamed of, you can't talk about. Pride
Mhm.
blinds you from seeing the reality around you. But there's a small thing called confidence. So my definition of confidence, it's the substance that supports the structure that lays the foundation for your character. I'll say it again.
Mhm.
Is the substance that supports the structure that lays the foundation for your character. And if you're not uplifting someone, then you don't have confidence. And what we want everyone to have is, no matter what else happens, there is hope. There is
Mhm.
hope. And so I went to Iraq. I was proud to serve my country. I served with the 4th Infantry Division, from Port Hood, Texas, the great place. That's what they call it. Yeah, it's a place. I tell you that. It's definitely different. It's definitely
Yes,
It's
it
a
different.
good
is.
name though. I
Yeah,
Yeah,
don't know what they
it,
changed it to.
it's sort of like the Bermuda Triangle
it
because I
is.
mean, yeah. And the
Yeah.
thing is, I had all these sweet assignments that I could have chose. I could have went to Italy. I could have went to Hawaii. I could have went anywhere. But instead, I went to Fort Hood. I chose Fort Hood because my wife wanted to be close to her family. Um, and I got married a day after I graduated high school. I joined the Army Reserve, the Active Guard Reserve, when I was young, 17 years old. Then after getting activated, I realized that I wanted to go full benefits and I wanted to be full time. And so then I decided to go active duty. And like I said, I served. I was in the second wave of the first surge. I served with the 316 FA, so that's 316th Field Artillery with
Mhm.
Second Brigade of 4th Infantry Division, and I was in the second wave of the first surge. And it's very important to say that because the first surge, they basically just go in, they plow through everything. There's no cleanup crew; they just plow through everything.
Yeah.
Special operations goes before them, and they physically just go in for the mission. They're extracted, they're out. But yeah, then you have the second wave, so that the enemy is more prepared after the first wave goes through. Now they're more prepared for what's going to happen. So we were mechanized, so we're very slow, but we're artillery. So we have a lot of, we call the king of the battlefield because everyone calls for us for support.
Mhm.
We're doing that fire mission. Well, I went to Iraq, but I was a gunner. And then so I volunteered because in the military you're either volunteer or be voluntold. So I volunteered to be a
That's
gunner.
true.
Exactly. And so and back then I wasn't as light as I am. Back then I was 197 pounds. I was big arm, big chest, 19-inch neck. I ran my 2 miles in 9:47. I was a beast when it came to athletics.
Yeah.
And I was the second youngest referee to be FIFA certified at 8 years old in the state of Arkansas. So
Wow.
I mean I was an athlete from very beginning. And then I was a rebellious teenager that went through some hard knocks and hard things of life. So I put myself on the streets and became very aware of how the streets work. And put myself into a wannabe gang. Felt like I had to prove something, and it didn't do anything for me other than just tear me down as a character and just
Mhm.
make me more of a scared kid. But then I found the JROTC, the Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps. JROTS is what they call it, and that gave me discipline. That gave me a purpose. That gave me a mission. And with that, I became very fit with that. I started doing exhibition with arms. I started doing Raider Team Challenge, doing Aussie rappelling out of helicopters. I mean, I started doing a lot of things. I was a fitness captain for 4 years. And so that got me physically there. I mean, so when I joined the military, I mean, drill and ceremony wasn't nothing. I was like Major Payne. I'm out there spinning rifles, you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
up in the air, doing all the cool stuff, all the
Right.
cool kid stuff. And so but it gave me a taste of what it was like to have a true mission, to have a true identity. And then so when I went to war, I mean, 3 injuries happened pretty quick. I mean, all happened in the same tour. So I mean, I was doing house raids in June, and enemy insurgent was based in a clay hut village, and clay. It was a straw clay. It was clay hut village with like bamboo and straw as a
Mhm.
roof, and doing night raids. So we worked 18 on, 6 hours off, and so but that adrenaline becomes a drug. And when you start kicking
Yeah.
in these doors and you start, going at specific target, because I was part of that surge that when we went in, we were given playing cards. They're called death cards, and
Yep.
we
Yep.
were
I
we were
remember those. Yep.
and we were given these cards from the CIA. But the funny thing is, I found these cards the other day, and guess where the cards are made? This is given to us by the Central Intelligence Agency, made in China.
Yeah, I was gonna say made in China.
Made in China. It says it right there. And I'm like,
Mhm.
this is CIA information, and yet it's
Mhm.
made in China.
It's funny
So
because we
China.
had those cards too, but we were in the Navy, so
Yeah,
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
anybody that was part of that warfare,
Yeah.
pretty much got that. It was actually given to us because, I mean, and you remember some of those cards. Some of them had question marks on them. They didn't even have people on there because they had no idea what they looked like. So
Yeah.
when we started doing raids, this that, and the other, we were looking for weapon caches. We were looking for IEDs. We were looking for any type of threat assessment. And then, so when I got hit with 2 slugs in my chest. I had SAFI plates on, but I got shot in the chest. And the
Mhm.
doctors told me 2 to 5 more pounds of pressure would have broke my sternum, split my heart, killed me instantly. And I didn't realize how close of a call that was. I didn't realize that literally the average sneeze is 40 miles an hour. So it's 40 pounds per square inch leaving one sneeze. So
Mhm.
that enemy could have sneezed behind that weapon, I would have been dead. That's how fragile life is. And I couldn't see it back then. I couldn't
Yeah.
see it as a second chance. I couldn't see it as another way. I had to. I mean, honestly, I was blind to it. Back then, honestly, my nickname was Ice, and it's because I was solid, but I was very cool about it. I didn't let my muscles go to my head, and I
Yeah.
helped out anybody that want to be helped. But I was a big guy, and since I was a gunner, and since it didn't hurt me to carry the big old 249, you know what I'm saying, or the 240 Bravo or the
Yeah.
50 cal, then I mean, I did what happened, and honestly, it was a rush. It was a rush being on top of the
Yeah.
gun and seeing everything, and then I was able to take pictures. You know what I'm saying? Because I tried to make it. Yes, I was there for mission, but I was there for purpose as well because I didn't realize that would be the longest but shortest year of my entire life. But yeah, that
Yeah.
was June. And then so August 15th, I'm running from I'm actually on a base called Camp Warhorse, which is in Bakiba, Iraq, central Iraq, outside of a place called Balad, which is an LSA Anaconda. But there was another Balad too, which was a small compound where
Mhm.
a part of the Striker Brigade and QRF, we pretty much were weaponized there for
That's where I was stationed at Balad. Of
yeah, yeah.
course, I have aviation. That's why.
Yeah,
Big
well, I mean,
base.
and Balad was a big base. That was a
Yeah,
very
it
big
was.
base.
Yeah.
I mean, and back then in '03, we got hit really hard, and we got hit often. And like I said, but I was in a place called Camp Warhorse, and it was in Ba Cuba, at an airfield, and we got hit all the time. I mean, we took over a 600 convert mortar rounds within a 6-month period. That's how
Wow.
that's how many that's how many rounds we got hit. Yeah, often. And then right behind us, we had a mortarman there, and it was called Camp Gabe, or Camp Boom is what we called it, Camp Boom. And so we renamed our base Camp Mortar Horse, because I mean we took so many mortar rounds.
Yeah.
But anyways, so I'm running full speed on for a safety bunker, and my legs outrun my body, and I do a face plant into the gravel, and right as soon as I fall, my face 3 feet in front of me, a 60 millimeter mortar landed right there
Oh
and
shit.
embedded in gravel. Yeah, so it pinged me up on my through my gloves, hit me in my face, and hit me in my chest. Felt like I had bees stinging me everywhere. But the thing is, I mean, it wasn't a dud, because when EOD actually came and physically put the round, went to go take the round. I got a picture of the rounds on my website and stuff, it's in my books and stuff. But I mean, and so just so everybody knows, like a 60 millimeter mortar, about the size of a liter and a half bottle. But the kill
Yeah.
radius of this thing is 25 meters. It means anything within a 25-meter radius is confirmed dead if it goes off. And as EOD actually moved the munition, it actually physically went off. So
Mm.
I didn't realize that there was a divine intervention there at the time. I couldn't see it. But I was asked to go home. I said, no, I don't want to go home. They asked me the first time in June, when I got shot, they said, you want to go home? I said, no, I don't want to go home. So I just turned the TA-50 in, got me another vest, and went. So they told me I couldn't do raids anymore. But I mean, I did it for 4.5 months. I mean, that's what I wanted to do. I mean,
Yeah.
it was so fun. But anyways, so I was on the last day of light duty. This was September 1st of 2003. And this is when I got hit really hard. Is I was a sergeant outside the gates, and we were burning waste. So back then we didn't have public plumbing, so we had to burn our own waste
Yep.
to physically,
Yep.
and when you do that, it's like you're burning tires. Like literally, you have to burn it in one
Yeah.
layer will burn off, and then it goes completely out, and then you have to stir it up, and then you have to light it up again. And so it's a process. It's like if you ever been on flag burning detail where you're burning the flags, it looks like black smoke, all the tires. That's exactly how that but it's even much worse, because
Yeah.
like I said, you burn it off in layers. So anyways, I didn't want to be a boy crying wolf, so I could tell that something was not right. And so I called on brigade, and I had a big fill pack radio on, and I'm outside the gate, so I'm actually in hostile situation, because we didn't burn the stuff right there with us. We carried
Mhm.
it outside, where I mean it's waste. I mean we don't need that near us. Um, and so I was on the crap duty, and so all of a sudden I felt something was not right, and I could see mortars, but I couldn't tell if they were incoming or outgoing, because I could not see the reflection of the round. Like it's just a big dust cloud, but I
Yeah.
could hear the launch. It's not like a Pringle can popping, doop doop doop. I could hear that, but I could not tell if we have what's called enemy close. And so if an enemy is very close to us, then sometimes we'll send rounds to take out the enemy, and it's going to be a close call. And so sometimes we actually will shoot kind of towards your own position, because we got somebody right outside the gates, and we really don't engage them unless they come either through the gates, or they're becoming hostile. Um, but but anyways, but then I had a guy there with me, and I had two guys with me, and I sent one guy back to the tactical operations center to find out what's going on. And back then in 2003, we didn't have all the alarms set up. The bases
Yeah.
weren't set up for all that yet,
No.
so it's not like you're hearing woo. You're not hearing a big
Right.
alert,
Right.
like a tower. Like I got a tornado siren in my backyard, and so every time the storm goes out, that thing goes out, and I mean everybody knows it. It's on a big huge hill, and it makes this huge sound. But we didn't have all that stuff set up back then in 2003, and make us. I mean, it's crazy, because even most of our everything that we took over there was more. Even like the vehicles we took over there that supposed to go to Turkey, we were supposed to go to Turkey. They sent us to Kuwait. They said we'd be doing a peacekeeping mission for about 6 months. We spent 6 days in Kuwait, and then we went to Citron, Iraq, and all over Iraq, doing that. But anyways, so that guy didn't come back. So then I had one more guy there with me, and as I pretty much say, hey, something ain't right here. And so I told him, I want you to run to the bunker. And so I stayed on point, And then all of a sudden, I flipped it over and I took off running as fast as I could. I ran past one bunker because I could not tell if the enemy had what's called eyes on, which they could physically see where I was going. And if they did, I didn't want to leave them where everybody else was. So then I judoed out to the left, and I was going to another bunker. And as I ran past the latrine, I remember feeling I felt the warmth, and but I remember feeling like someone grabbed me and threw me over to the left. All of a sudden, my body threw over to the left, and I got peppered by shrapnel on my right arm and my leg. I didn't realize I got hit. It happened too quick, too fast.
Yeah.
But how I remember is I remember feeling warm. I remember my right leg was warm, and I didn't realize that was a sign of me getting hit. And I got back up, continued running, and as I'm running for my safety bunker, I fall into what's called a spider hole. It's a 10 to 12 foot chamber, and my lifeless body hit my head going down, so I was knocked out, and my body fell on my ankles, my knees, and straight on my tailbone. And I didn't realize that because they already asked me twice, you want to go home. That third time they didn't ask me. I mean, I was still cut up from from the other wounds before. So when I was pulled out of the pit, I had my life saving thing on there, but everybody who had went through a 40-hour medic class, they became a certified field medic, because back over there we had a lot of jobs that people were tasked out to do that not everybody were there. So you had
Mhm.
support elements. So I took a 40-hour class, extra class, and became a combat field medic to teach you how to do like tracheotomies, other things like that.
Mhm.
Saying life-saving situations
Yeah.
just to patch somebody up to get them onto the medevac. And so since I had that band on me with the cross there, they pulled me over and I started working on some other people. But man, I just took Motrin. I mean, because that's what they gave me. Ranger candy, Skittles. I mean, that's what we call it.
Yeah.
Um, because they gave it for a headache, they gave it for a toothache, they gave it for a
Everything.
Everything.
broken hangnail. I mean, everything. Yeah, exactly. And because I did not complain, they didn't see a problem. And so for the next 4.5 months, I literally walked on broken legs, and my
Wow.
legs began to turn inside my body. And so when I got back from Iraq, so I did not get medevaced. I served my entire tour. I got back from Iraq. I was on Fort Hood. My legs are swollen, so they said, "Well, you have flat feet, so you probably just took this bad jump." They didn't do X-rays or anything on me right away. They made me,
Wow.
and they were making me administer a PT test. I was gonna have to walk 2 miles, and then that's when the adrenaline finally like shut off. And then so I'm standing up, and I remember my legs were hurting. They were burning. It felt like the gas that somebody set my legs on fire. And all of a sudden I remember falling down, and then I couldn't get up. And then got my guys picked me up, and I fell right back down. They picked me up again. I fell right back down. I said, "Guys, I cannot walk." And so they called an ambulance in there, and they put me in a half body cast. I basically had fractures all down from my ankles all the way up to my leg, fractured all the way up my legs. And I walked on broken legs, and I didn't realize that I had a spinal injury as well. And then when I got back from Iraq, my wife was 8.5 months pregnant, and so I had accountability formation. So what I decided to do, and I was in these walking casts. I was supposed to be in a wheelchair, but I was on crutches. And so what I did is I took down the crutch, and I had accountability formation. My wife was not feeling good. She was 8.5 months pregnant with my son. And So then I took my crutch, and I said, I'm just going to drive on post. I'm just going to go sign the paper, and just I'll be done. So
Right.
as I'm going on post, I'm at a four-way stop sign. I'm on a little Nissan Stanza, a little little four-door car, and a little tiny car, and my window's down because the AC's not working. All of a sudden, I'm at a four-way stop on 16th and Battalion, and this truck's not even trying to stop, and I'm already turning, and this truck hits me on my right side.
Oh, damn.
Hit me so hard. He hit me going 47 miles an hour. Put a 27-inch diameter into the. Hit me so hard that the baby seat in the back basically flew out. The passenger seat broke and came towards me. The seatbelt didn't catch me right away, so my neck went out so seatbelt's here. My neck went
Mhm.
out like this, and the seatbelt finally caught me. When it did, it jerked me back in. And that's where partial some of the break happened. So what I suffered is it's called polytrauma. And so I suffered multiple injuries, both in combat and also out of combat. And but I didn't realize how severity the injuries were until later on in life. So
You know, yeah. So in Iraq, I received, similar to your situation, right? I was going across the airfield, a mortar came in, jumped off my bike, hit the ground, just instinct, but it didn't go off. Stuck in the ground, same type of mortar that you dealt with. But of course, I jammed my neck, knocked myself out, blah blah blah. Not realizing what went on, and it's funny when you're in those type of situations, you don't think about that. I remember one time we were in a dining facility and eating. I'd been in Iraq, I think 5 months at this time. Now I worked nights in the hangar. I was a warrant officer, so I ran the shops at night.
yeah.
And we got mortared all the time in Balad. And this was right before the surge. So, when before the surge happened, they're mortaring the shit out of us.
Yep.
And, you can always tell the people that have been there for a while and the people that just got there. Because
Yeah.
as the mortars were coming in, the chow hall would shake. And,
Mm-hmm.
and of course, then all the dust from the tiles would start coming down. And the first one hit, nobody really paid attention. When the second one hit, it shook a little bit more. The third one hit, it just shook the whole dining facility, lift the towels up in the ceiling, they come back down. The people that hadn't been there before were either running for their bunkers or they were
Mm-hmm.
diving underneath the tables. The
Exactly.
guys like myself, sadly, we just sat there and kept eating. We just kept eating.
Exactly right.
Cover the coffee
Exactly right.
up and because we knew. First of all, I never ran to the bunkers because in my mind, I figured
Mm-hmm.
if I would just get buried in concrete, right? And so you come to the realization of that, and it was to me it was just interesting to see, and then coming back and suffering a car wreck. I was rear-ended. I was stopped at a stoplight, and a guy plowed into me at 45 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And so that happened to my second TBI.
Yeah.
So I that's why I was, before the show, we were talking about how similar our stories are, but yet they're a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a hard thing to recover from. So after your car accident, what happened after that?
Yes. So after that, I ended up ETSing because back then I got out in 2005. So WTU did not exist until 2006, late 2006.
Yeah.
Before that, everything was called Med Hold. They basically captured everybody in one unit. So
Yeah.
this is failure to adapt. This is mental case. These are physical charges. And then these are people that are physically injured, going through the
Yeah.
med board
Yeah.
process.
Mm-hmm.
And so then. And then they were doing, and we were part of what's they call rapid deployment unit. And so because a lot of us had security clearance and everything, we were in rapid deployment units. So then they would basically task us out with other units to go. A lot of the single soldiers, they didn't even want to come back home. They had no money. Things were not doing good. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And then these guys get these Jody's, these Dear John letters and Jody letters and all the different things like that. It's just, but things are not what everybody's seeing. Plus, the thing is too, like I said, that adrenaline becomes that drug, and like you
Yeah.
become addicted to it.
Yeah.
Because it's a rush. It is a rush.
Yeah.
It's just like being a pro fighter. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that's the thing. It's like you want to get hit. You know what I'm saying? And you want to get paid, and then you want to go play, and like. And being in these fast action type things, we see these Rambo movies and stuff, but when the things really happen to you, and like when I got shot, I wasn't ready. I had no
Yeah.
idea that there was an enemy
Yeah.
insurgent there. Honestly, I pissed my pants. That's just the truth. But I had but one of the best things that happened to me was talking to somebody that I served with there afterwards that did not treat me very good while I was in service. And I remember years ago he reached out to me, and he was actually one of my platoon sergeants, and he reached out to me, and I said, man, why did you treat me like crap? You know what I'm saying? He said, out of the tens of thousands of troops that I trained, Joshua, he said, home, he said, I wouldn't, he said, I saw more potential in you than I saw in many others. He's like, so I asked him, I was like, so why did you laugh? I'm like, that really hurt me when you guys laughed at me when I fell, while running from the mortar attack and all this, that, and the other. He said, man,
Yeah.
you got to realize I was scared. He said, I pissed my pants the way you pissed your pants.
Yeah.
He said, and then that brought so much healing to me, guys. Just getting a little bit of that story to know it brought it full circle, where I was only seeing one side of this before. I was seeing these guys laughed at me
Mm-hmm.
because they were making fun of me, like bullying me. I didn't see that they were scared, just like I was scared.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? that coping mechanism, people deal with things differently. Like some people,
Totally
they're going to
different. Totally
always
different.
laugh.
Yep.
Some people, they're going to always cry. Some people, they're going to
Yep.
go completely numb. But
Yeah.
the number one thing to know is that you need to be centralized where emotionally you need to be sound. You know what I'm saying? Where it's okay to cry, it's okay to laugh, it's okay
Yeah.
to say nothing in that moment. But what it's not okay, it's not okay to isolate yourself and then and make excuses of why you can't do things because physically, saying you might be able to do all these things, but mentally you might not be able to.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's okay not to be okay at times. And so if I had to give one message out there for people today,
Hmm.
is I would say that isolation is not your independence, it's your desolation. So I'm a
Yeah.
paralyzed veteran. I have a broken neck, C4, C7 is now complete. So you guys don't know this. So I'm in a wheelchair. And then I had a stroke. So my whole hand was crippled and all that. I wrote my first book with these two fingers after my wife said, babe, you got to find purpose through your pain. I was
Yeah.
isolated in that moment and I was feeling sorry for myself. I didn't realize that literally I wore a mask every single day and I didn't want to take this mask off. And so the realness of it is I took the mask off and then I heard a voice say, Joshua, what do you see? I looked in the mirror. I didn't like what I saw, so I looked away. I heard the exact same voice say, Joshua, what do you see? I looked at the voice, and out of abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Out of abundance of my depths of my soul, I spoke to that mirror and I said, I see a victim. And that same voice didn't yell at me, didn't scream at
Hmm.
me, whispered back at me and said, I see a victor. That's where Joshua Home broke. That's why I wrote my first book, Semi Life Lessons, which is on Amazon today.
Hmm.
And that look, I wrote that book with two fingers. After that, guys, I began to travel the world and speak all over the entire country, doing push-ups as a disabled veteran, wearing KFO braces, which are knee, ankle, foot orthopedic brace, which is the most complex brace that you can wear, like Forrest Gump. Have you ever seen the movie Forrest Gump?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wore these braces for real, and each one of these braces weighed 11.5 pounds apiece, which means 22. And yet, I did 22 push-ups in 2019 for the 22 a day committing suicide, and that was only 26 states reporting.
Yeah.
So, guys, if I could do that when I could, if my body was to burn for a minute for someone else's not to burn for eternity, is it not worth it? Yes, the 22 a day's got to go away, guys. We cannot be
Yeah.
isolated. You cannot be alone. And the thing is, I said these words when I was 13 years old, and my wife helped save my life by saying the words. But this is what I said: is I said, no one loves me, no one cares about me. There's no hope for my life. And immediately, I was psyching myself up to take my life at that young age. And
Yeah.
and I popped every pill I could find in the house because I did not want to be in the right mind to do it. I had to psych myself up to do it. And I closed my eyes and I said these words, and I did not know them. I said them out loud, but I'll say the word again because I think someone needs to hear this today. I said, no one loves me. No one cares about me. There is no hope for my life. Immediately, I heard a voice say, someone loves you. Someone cares about you. And there is hope. And that's my wife, Crystal. She said these words, guys. Immediately, I dropped that knife. I never thought about it. That day, I didn't find salvation, but that day, I found hope, which later on led to my salvation. I don't care what you believe and what you don't believe, but what I want you to know is that something bigger than me helped me get up when I was
Hmm.
down. And now that I'm in a wheelchair, and now that I can't even move my body without moving I mean, I'm strapped in a wheelchair right now. But guys, every single day, no matter what happens, I'm going to make it count. I did 22 push-ups on two fingers for the 22 a day that's got to go away. And then on 222 of 2022, you can look up hashtag 22 healed, but look up 222 of 2022. I did 2.0. I did 22 push-ups on thumbs only. These are called Bruce Lee push-ups on thumbs only. Right there, that's muscle. I did
Hmm.
22 push-ups with 22 pounds of braces.
That's
But
amazing.
I didn't know
Hmm.
that same year that I would turn on December 21st, 2022. I'd turn in the closet doing nothing. I would hear a pop and I would lose feeling from the neck down. You never know when today could be your last day, but I want you
Hmm.
to live like every day is your last day. Tell the ones you love them, tell them you love them.
Hmm.
Hug their necks. Say you're sorry. Break your pride. Take off the mask, share
Hmm.
something of value with your family. You don't, you got to tell them your story, but tell them something, because if you say nothing, it's worse than not saying anything, because they never get closure and you never find healing.
That's true. We were gonna close this up in a couple
Sorry,
minutes.
guys.
So just no, Joshua, you're
Powerful
absolutely
message.
fine. Powerful message, and it's something that I talk about a lot too with my suicide attempt. It's kind of funny. My wife's name's Crystal too, so that's kind of
Wow,
funny.
that's awesome.
But tell us a little bit about your foundation. And
Absolutely.
Chris,
Yeah,
producer, it's
yeah.
okay if we go over a little bit, but we have a hard stop about 6 minutes. So go
Okay.
ahead, tell
No,
us about your foundation,
yeah.
and but don't
Easy
speed
enough.
through it. It's okay. It's fine. But
Okay, no, I got you. Yeah. So in 2013, I began to travel. I was traveling around the country, and then I realized that I wanted to help more than one person. But as a mentor, it became reach one and then teach one to reach one. So it's like I was always looking forward. I was always reaching back, just because there was a hand that picked me up out of a pit,
Mhm.
and it wasn't about seeing the face, but it was about seeing a hand that was pulling me up. And so as a mentor, it became I want to reach one and I want to teach one to reach one. It was a very simple concept. Reach one, teach one to reach one. That was it. And so I knew I couldn't do that on my own. So me and my wife, we started a foundation called Steel Hope. I own the website, The Man of Steel. But
Mhm.
steel to me is standing, transforming, encouraging, enlightening, loving. The word steel. My motto is be still, believe, expand, stand, transform, encourage, enlighten, love. And just so everybody knows about a brain injury, is I use acronyms to retain memory. That's how I remember
Mhm.
things. And so, as a public speaker, that's how I am. I'm a life coach. I lift individuals for eternity. So, every word to me on an accordion file, I put it out like that. And then I stretch it out, I put it right back together. And it's just like a harmonica, how you have a draw and you have a blow. And,
Mhm.
but that's what Still Hope is all about. And my wife came up with the acronym of HOPE, which is helping others, problems erase, because
Mhm.
your focus becomes your future. And I said, no longer is my focus or my future going to be filled with past or pain. I realized pain was part of the process of my perfection. It was not the process. It was part of the process. And that, and the pain is there for two things. It's there to tell you that you're alive and that there's still that you still have hope. And second, it's there to tell you that you can feel, that you're not dead, that you can heal. Because pain is your friend. It's not meant to be your enemy.
That's true.
But I tell people all the time that so our foundation started just from that wanting to reach one and then teach one to reach one. And so now we physically have a property outside the Dallas Fort Worth area where we're building a ranch and retreat for veterans, first responders, and families. And so we're a human service organization. That's how we're set up. Our mission statement is uh, to build, equip, and empower others to be people who will continually be still all around the world. And so we have five focal points. We have warriors, which is all the protect and serve and their families. We see all the red, white, and blue in one element. Just like a lot of people want to see, like we're in the military, we're taught to see everyone as green, just different shades of green, but we're all
Yeah.
green, you know. And so with that protect and serve element, me being a chaplain and everything as well, I see mental health, seeing the need of it. I see that the ministers are not, they have what's called compassion fatigue. I start seeing the law enforcement, the private military, and
Mhm.
special operations guys, whatever, Delta, and with all the private militia and all the other groups that are doing all the private military. I mean that are surrounding and keeping some of the greatest areas safe, from terrorism. And our border patrols. I mean, their hands were tied on the borders, but I mean, they need hope too, and we all need to heal together. And I know we can. And so that's why we came up with this whole month. We have what's called March for Hope. So if you go to March number 4 hope.com, that will actually take you to a landing page that's going to it has all of our social media on there. We're actually building a tribute wall. We're building the third one. It's going to be United States, the first in the South. It's made of over 7,000 dog tags. It's the American flag that's portable, and it stands 6 feet tall and 28 feet long. Has 50 gold stars on there for every era of Gold Star families to be honored for their sacrifices, and we will remember their names. And that's another thing is from the Gold Star side, I see is that the number one thing, the biggest fear of a Gold Star family, or even the Green Star family, or used to be the White Star families, whatever, is that their families that name will be forgotten.
Yeah.
but we will not forget their names. And so because of that, I've got a lot of things coming in, but march4hope.com is going to be a landing page that we're going to have all these different resources on there. We're going to have platforms on there, meetings, groups that we're going to be doing. But we're also going to be we're raising money for the tribute wall and getting everything up and going. But we plan on taking that around the nation. And letting people know it will be a testament, but it will also be a just showing that your sacrifice, your service, and we salute is always the same.
Well, Josh, thank you for that. And it was march4hope.com. Joshua, I want to invite you to come back on the show anytime. Really
Absolutely.
appreciate you coming here. I really appreciate your story. Like I said early on, it's truly amazing story, and I'm truly humbled to have met you. But as we close out the show, hey, listen, I got Visa Across America QR code up the left-hand corner. You can scan that. You can donate as little as $5, $10 to ensure that the wreath is placed on a veteran, to memorialize a veteran or a service member. You can also personalize it to, something I did talk about in the show at the beginning was 10th Mountain Bourbon and Whiskey. And, you can go out to their website. It's very easy to find. It's just 10thwhiskey.com. You can use the code VTT to save 10% on your order. I can't get 10th Mountain Bourbon on here. I sure wish I could. But, I suffer through. And anybody that comes out and visits me, I make them bring it with me. It is Chris did post it out there on the thing. Of course, you got the Veterans to Mortgage you played at the beginning. You can scan that QR code. And, of course, PCS to Paradise. They're in Hawaii there. You can find yourself a little vacation home in Hawaii and live it up. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in. And Lynn, why don't you tell them about the T-shirt I got on today?
All right. It says, "Quit being a triggered pansy." You can find that T-shirt on www.VeteranTrashTalk.com. On there, you can find all of our merch, and then you can find all of our podcasts available to you on all the platforms. But www.VeteranTrashTalk.com. I also want to say, go ahead and check out www.irreverentwarriors.com for your next hike. That's going to be out there. And I want to thank you, Josh, for coming on. Definitely need to get you back on because I know you have a lot to say. It's super important. And march4hope.com is Josh's site, Steel Hope. So check him out, guys. And thank you.
Absolutely. And hey, listen, I know the time change
you,
got
guys.
people tired and stressed out, but keep in mind that we are our brothers and sisters keepers out there. And so just like Josh talked about, somebody might have got a little quiet. Maybe they're not talking a whole lot. Maybe they're just spending a little bit much time alone. But, sometimes just a kind word can really change somebody's perspective. So take a second, say hi to somebody, reach out to somebody, text them, and just see how they're doing. And with that, everybody have a great week and take care. And we'll see you next Monday.